Hello everyone, I'm LaceTV and on behalf of Method, today we'll be running down our top 10 list of things we wanna see in Shadowlands. We've limited ourselves to 10, otherwise we would be here all day. There's no time for that because some of us, not me, but some are pretty busy playing Alpha. If you think we've missed anything or you have your own list, put it in the comments down below and I'll make sure to read it and respond to you guys. But for now, let's move on with the list, which is in no particular order, just the 10 things we would really like to see in Shadowlands. First on our list is the return of Master Loot. Yep, we're still talking about bringing back Master Loot. We think raiding would really benefit from its return. We think if it was for Mythic only, it would be a great improvement. We don't think it would change things too much. For the most part, Mythic is run by guilds who care about progress. And while the best way to progress is to get those key pieces on the best characters to wield them to help kill the next boss, it's just another way to eliminate some RNG of loot you want dropping, but not for the right character. I mean, having your disc priest wielding best in slot Azerite for fire mages feels awful, and we hope Bolvar snuck Master Loot into the bag of tricks he will surely be providing players for Shadowlands. In a recent interview, WoW's game director Ian said that tier sets were a possibility in Shadowlands. We didn't want to include anything on our list that was confirmed, such as level squish or returning abilities, but since tier sets are only a possibility, it had to make our list. Let's be honest guys, everybody is missing tier sets. It's something that helped fuel class identity and made tiers of play feel unique with the set bonuses, empowering new playstyles which could change each tier. We also think it could help with class balance. Let's say Feral Druid is underperforming, which is not an outrageous thought. Blizzard could then buff their tier set or give them a really good tier set ability without having to dwell too much into the Feral kit to make them viable. All in all, we think tier sets would make a great addition to Shadowlands, and we really hope that possibility becomes a reality. The ever-growing popularity of Mythic Plus, one of the best additions to WoW in its 15 years. We hope Blizzard will allow players a bit more freedom when exploring the new dungeons. We would much rather see dungeons like Azeldazar and Freehold that allow players to make meaningful choices in their routes, as opposed to more linear experiences such as Temple of Centralis. Now with the rising popularity of the MDI, we really hope Blizzard gears the Shadowlands dungeons to show off the creativity of players and give us dungeons we can approach differently each week to keep them fresh and fun as we push keys throughout the expansion. So, while we are on the topic of Mythic Plus, we would love to see a new addition to the game, which are dungeon sets. Similar to how PvP and tier sets work, we would love to see gear introduced exclusively for dungeons, with dungeon only traits similar to how Bente gear only worked in Nazjatar and the Eternal Palace. Something players have been complaining about for a while now is being forced to do other content to excel at the content they really want to do. Raiders pushing keys to get gear for raiding, Mythic Plus players playing raids for the best eye level gear to help them push keys, and PvP players too. We think the solution to this are dungeon sets, gear that actually buffs you in Mythic Plus that you get from doing M+. I mean, raiders can still do their weekly 10s or 15s, but those who really want to push keys can unlock these new dungeon set bonuses and reach new heights. These dungeon sets, like we mentioned with tier sets, could actually be buffed or tweaked around to help certain underperforming classes see more play. I'm actually pretty curious to hear what you guys have to say. Is it something you would love to see, or is it something you would hate to see? Let us know in the comment below. Now this is a big one. Class balance in both PvE and PvP feels like it's not been in a great spot at any point in battle for Azeroth. Whether it's Resto Shaman sitting in AFK in Ghost Wolf form taking 0 damage, or Resto Druids underperforming compared to other healers across the entire expansion in raids. This in contrast to them dominating M+, where other healers barely got a look in. We hope to see that change in Shadowlands. We would like to see more balance to utility, perhaps more combat dresses for other healers to make them more viable in Mythic Plus, and of course a fix so Shroud isn't so impactful. It's almost a requirement to have a rogue in your Mythic Plus group. Likewise, it felt like melee really got the short end of the stick in a lot of the raids this tier. The addition of tier sets, dungeon sets, and the new PvP vendor, we hope can make this an easier problem for Blizzard to handle. We know it must be a nightmare to balance 2 to 4 specs over so many classes, but if anyone's up to the task, it's definitely Blizzard, and we hope they rise to the occasion. This is something we've touched on before and it's somewhat controversial, but we would like to see cross-faction play. The player base has been horde dominated for a long time, and as more and more competitive focused players make this switch, the Alliance player base dwindles, fueling the fire for more players to make the leap or just straight up quit because they have fewer and fewer like-minded people to play with. The solution to that, we think, is cross-faction play. The Horde and Alliance, after 15 years of conflict, kissing and making up, then battling once more, we think should be able to fight side by side. I mean, we teamed up to fight Ashara and N'Zoth, so it isn't a huge leap to make. It only makes sense for the Horde and Alliance to come together to take on the big bats of Shadowlands, and we're always in favor of being able to play with our friends, even if they're Alliance. So this is another topic that we've touched on before, but we would really love to see impactful gameplay return, or put it simply, make pushing buttons great again. Corruption has been fun, or at least fun for those people who got it, but fun in a way doing big numbers is fun, not fun in a way of using skills to maximize DPS. We would like to see the return to player skill making those big numbers happen. Timing cooldowns and optimizing your gameplay to separate the boys from the men. We would like to see skill bringing people to the top of the meters, not lucky procs, which isn't to say get rid of the procs, they've always been a fun effect, we would just like them to be more consistent and less impactful. We think skill should always trump luck. What about you guys? So, we are lumping 2 key changes we would like to see into this point. We would like to see the removal of fortified and tyrannical weeks and the addition of a positive M+ affix. The tyrannical and fortified weeks, especially when you really start pushing high keys, can become pretty problematic. AoE classes excel too much on fortified weeks, and some tyrannical bosses will straight up one-shot certain classes without any counterplay at all, serving to effectively make them useless every other week, which kinda sucks. We think a healthy and balanced medium is the best bet moving forward. On top of that, we would like to see positive affixes added to the game. Positive affixes could be doubling down the duration of Bloodlust, an extra action button giving a burst of speed, making all players immune to CC, just something that gives fun and creative ways to play. That's what we think is the key to keeping things fresh throughout the expansion. Certain affixes can really feel unfun to play, and it's not uncommon for players to just skip 1 week because they don't want to deal with fortified seeming mobs or sanguine pools in Mother Load. We think having fun affixes that offset this and give other incentive to play Mythic Plus that week could be a great addition to M+. With the 2 big baddies of the Jailer and Sylvanas already established, we're hoping to see better story cohesion in Shadowlands than we did in Battle for Azeroth, jumping from Gahun to Jaina, then pivoting halfway through the expansion to the Eternal Palace, and then N'Zoth, who seemingly came out of nowhere. The story just didn't seem to flow for Battle for Azeroth. With no big baddies from the get-go, it never felt like the players were making any progress, just taking down whatever problem popped up. And it's not really fun to have 2 of the endgame bosses alive and well after spending weeks and weeks progressing them. We hope Shadowlands feels more like Wrath of the Lich King, where players were always reminded of his looming threat and what the ultimate endgame would be. You worked the entire expansion against the Lich King, moving steadily closer until you could take him down at the peak of Icecrown Citadel. It gave the feeling of accomplishment, over a year of working towards the ultimate goal and then completing it. That's one of the reasons why Wrath of the Lich King is held in such high regard. And we are hoping we have a similar journey with Sylvanas and the Jailer when we delve into the Shadowlands. They wouldn't be method if retaking the throne of World First wasn't on their list of wants for Shadowlands. Believe me when I say they've been working around the clock since N'Zoth to prepare for Shadowlands, both in-game and for the World First event coming with Castle Nataria, the first raid in Shadowlands. With the success of the World First event and the ever-growing community of fans watching them and others compete for the coveted World First title, They are eager to get back into the competition and battle once more for what will hopefully be their 14th world first. So that's our list, guys. Do you think we missed anything? If you do, please let us know in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please click that like button and subscribe to the channel to keep updated with our content, which include reviews of the new alpha classes, dungeons and covenants. I'm LaceTV, and I will see you next time.